Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. I'm your host, Mark, and we got an interesting little thing going on here. We got Battery Bust, episode 1. Joining me today, we got Court.
Hey, good to be here. Yeah, battery bust is going to be interesting. So I'm excited to be here regardless. The chaos is always fun.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
I've learned long ago, just go with the flow. You can fight the tides of the warp, but you're better off just surfing them. And to surf
ride it,
with us,
baby.
we all ride it with
Yeah,
us, Fuzz, all the way. How's it going, man?
Good, man. Yeah, gonna ride this chaotic wave of battery, like I said, battery bust. We'll see where this night takes us.
Yeah, so let's give you the little rundown. Hey, everyone in the chat. We'll give you the little rundown. I live 100% off the grid. Like, I live down in Panama, like on the ocean. Like, I do my own water collection, I do my solar and my batteries, and basically, I've been here for 3 years, and I have not had a single problem with my solar. It's probably the only system I've had that has not given me some sort of issue, but entropy and whatnot takes time. And my battery's busted. So, my power has been cutting out at like 10 p.m. Last night it cut out at 8 p.m. And every day I'm like, will I record tonight or will the battery bust? We'll find out.
we'll see. This
We'll
is
see.
the rolling of the dice. So wait, at any point this could just shut down.
Yeah, at any point this could just shut down.
Okay.
Yeah, that will
Wow.
be where the battery busts, and then we can timestamp that, and we'll know for sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but basically my concept for the upcoming week of episodes, maybe 2, like I do have batteries for the house on order. They're en route. Shouldn't take that long to get here. There's been a couple episodes in the last week or 2 that I've missed where it's just like, I just can't make it. My batteries are gone, man. But in the next couple weeks, hopefully only 1 week, I'm going to do some just random musings. Sometimes it's going to be hanging out with some people earlier in the day when my batteries are fine. Other times it might just be a mad ramble. We were talking earlier about like some hobby tutorials. Maybe I could bang out some of those. Maybe some dad hammer. But that's the start of a fun little series that I'm going to try to just randomly come up with each day for you.
That's fun. I think you just kind of think on your toes then, and it allows you to break your normal cycle and come up with something special. Yeah, Fuzz had some great ideas about doing some hobby tip stuff. So I don't know. We'll see.
There'll be a looper call talked about, and
Yeah.
this should be fun.
Yeah.
Like I think the people that listen enjoy the chaos. Like you guys, and like when the hosts go on lots of different tangents and speculations, and that kind of just random chaos talking about whatever. I think everyone's going to enjoy it.
Yeah, like I kind of did a similar thing with the lockdown when COVID happened, and we did 14 days of back-to-back episodes, and that was pretty fun too. That was chaotic because I actually had to schedule with people every day, and that was fucked. But
Yeah, right.
I can't imagine.
I've had a very big pool of 40K friends. What's like your guys' group like? I know Court, you're kind of hanging around like a pretty big part of Funkatronic Rec Store or whatever. Pretty big group.
Yeah, so I would say my 40K crew is pretty vast. Like I would say I could like find a game almost any day if I wanted, which is wild to me. Like I'm so thankful to have an amazing community here where I could put up on the Discord or text somebody and say like, who wants to play like 1,000 points today at
cool. Nice.
2 p.m. And I could probably get like 2 people ready to go.
Nice. So rad. There's that Discord page and you just can get after it so easy.
Yeah, it's great. And then like I've got my buddies are getting back into like some of the old Fantasy Flight LCGs that are dead, which is kind of fun. So like if I want to play a game, it sounds really like I try not to take it for granted, but like if I want to play a game, like I can make it happen. And that's just phenomenal. And that speaks to the really cool community that not only Funkatronic Rex has really cultivated, but like Phoenix is a big city. Like it really is. We've got our pick of game stores. Like we have a Warhammer store like 25 minutes from where I'm at. I've got within 30 minutes in almost any direction I can go to an LGS. It's wild. So
that's good living, man.
It is, man. And I really tried to be grateful for it because I can't imagine like your situation of being isolated like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, people
Ooh.
have asked me if I like the isolation or if I feel isolated or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, that's the point.
That's what I
I
want.
just
Yeah.
That's what I was going
to
for.
Panama, you didn't want that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do miss game stores and stuff like just playing a pickup game with a random Yahoo, and yeah,
Mm,
you slowly get to know him over the course of the evening, and you find out one funny thing about the guy, and you slowly develop that friendship, man. Like I've had so many people on the show just that exact same way, and it's a beautiful thing.
yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool. The commonality that you find with other 40K people, like they just get it. I think like there's always the rando, like, maybe we don't play again.
Yeah.
That's okay. And that's all
Yeah.
right. But I think the community as a whole is really rad and welcoming. Yeah. What is Purge Seraph saying? What's this?
He says, "My crew is me and my minis and my mom. Said playing with myself and making me would make me blind." Well, yeah. If you squint while painting minis and play with yourself, yes, it might make you blind.
Check those palms, man. Are they hairy? We'll see.
But
Hey,
Fuzz,
sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
yeah. Fuzz, what about you? Where are you at again?
So I am a bit west of Philadelphia.
Okay,
Uh,
that's right. Yeah.
so on the East Coast of the United States. So like I'm not in like I guess what I would call like a big like city area.
Mhm.
Definitely like out in the counties and the suburbs. Part of it, I guess, for me is this isn't where I grew up. Like we moved out here at basically pretty much at the beginning of 2018. Like I drove out here from St. Louis, Missouri on the day after Christmas of 2017. So, that year doesn't really count. Uh, so for me, it's been like and then COVID happened soon after. So that kind of put a little bit of a hindrance on me, like learning the area and everything.
Mm.
Uh, Now, my saving grace for anything nerdy out here, honestly, was my LARPing community. So, like, I had people I had never met
yes.
come and helping me unload our moving truck because we all shared this hobby.
Wow.
Fuck yeah.
And that overlaps into my 40K group too, because a lot of these nerds do a lot of different nerdy things. So
Yeah,
moving out
man. Like
here,
chances are good all of us have bought a sword in our lives at one point or
right?
another. Yeah.
Oh
No,
yeah.
it's just
If
Oh
you
yeah,
haven't owned a sword and you're in this hobby,
right.
we'll talk. We'll talk.
yeah.
Everyone's
You-
eyed some armor at the Renaissance fair, something like that.
Yeah.
yeah.
But so it's getting to know like those guys, and then getting to know the ones that like are into 40K, and we've been doing more modeling, just with some different friends. There are game stores that I could go to. For me, it's just a lot of a lack of time. Like I've got 3 kids
Mm.
and other
Yeah.
hobbies and stuff like that, so it takes up a lot of my time to that. But like Grimaldus on Tabletop Simulator, we've started a game. We still at some point need to finish that. I will finish that with you, buddy. So he's been helping me just learn how to play the game. But then like my friends out here, it's more of a kind of supportive modeling community right now.
Mm.
We do want to get into playing some smaller games like 500 points, maybe some kill team, some 1,000-point games when we have time. But it's like we're
Yeah.
working up towards that. A lot of us are still finishing painting our armies. Not that we need that for a friendly game, but
But it
it's
helps.
yeah. But that's a lot of it right now. Is that or and also right now I'm running a 40K tabletop RPG in the Wrath and
Cool.
Glory setting, which is set in the Imperium Nihilus. And so we've been working on playing that about once a month. And so we've got, all of our different characters. My buddy's playing an orc. One of them is a Space Marine Scout, Sister Hospitalier, and one of the other players is just actually he was playing an Inquisitor Acolyte, but he's getting ready to switch. And then when I wasn't running, I was playing an Inquisitor Acolyte who just went into being an interrogator.
So,
Yeah.
Fuzz, tell me a little bit more about Wrath and Glory, because I was at an LGS the other day, and I'll show you the RPG I picked up afterwards. But I was curious about Wrath and Glory because I saw it and I was like, is this just like more comic-y dark heresy? Like, what's the
Mm.
kind of vibe that the game is like? Are you an Inquisitor and his retinue? Like, what's the deal?
So that's kind of how we are running the group dynamic. Just because sometimes with tabletop groups, it can be hard to find some way that why is the party together?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
with me wanting to play the Inquisitorial Acolyte, it was really easy for everyone to kind of just be part of that retinue. And there is like
sure.
a full Inquisitor NPC like over me. So I guess we're kind of all part of like that NPC's retinue.
Mm,
Um, but it
Yeah.
can be as like serious and grimdark as you want. I mean, just kind of what the players are up for. There's plenty of
Yeah.
room for silly over the top shenanigans. I know there's a podcast that plays it, and they do it in more of like a silly shenanigan style. I'd say
mm,
we're kind of in the middle.
cool.
Rules
I
wise, it's not too bad. Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, the rules though are quite a bit different there. Like Wrath and Glory uses a dice pool system, right? Where
Yeah, so like anyone that's
Oh,
played
yeah.
like Werewolf or Legend of the Five Rings that uses a dice pool based on numbers of successes, it is a similar style to that.
Yeah, very
Um,
cool. Like it's so different than doing like the Dark Heresy and all those Fantasy Flight games one or a D100 or a D20
okay,
based on a 100 uh number stat sheet type
mm,
thing, where it's like
okay,
all of a sudden you could be crunching some numbers for a long time where that dice pool is so quick. There's my twos, there's my phone, boom, 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 done.
yeah.
yeah, it's similar to actually playing like the war game too, where you are rolling against numbers and then they have to roll against those, like basically rolling to soak wounds. And so there is a
Yeah.
little bit of the actual war game element rolled into it. The movement in the book talks about like inches on the battle map, which will translate into feet and stuff. It
Sure.
uses d6s like you would use in your war game. The fun mechanic in it is one of your d6s is your wrath dice, and um, so you can succeed, but if you fail on the wrath dice, you can get like a complication. So like I shoot that guy and I hit him, but that was my last shot in my gun, so I need to reload next time. Or if you
Oh,
get successes and a success like a 6 on your wrath dice, that's how you critical.
Okay.
Or you can even like fail. So if I like don't succeed, but I roll a success on the wrath dice, I fail, but maybe I fail like less bad, or I fail into an advantage for something else that I might be doing.
Yeah.
cool. That's sweet, flavorful. I like it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of supplements for doing different like Xenos and stuff.
Mhm.
Because it's set up in the Imperium Nihilus, they wanted it to be open to like kind of everyone is
A little
kind
more
of coming
forgiving.
together. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone's a little bit more forgiving to work together to a certain degree. There's some really cool NPCs that have set up like a big rogue trader dynasty, a bunch of different worlds to go to. Yeah, it's a really nice system.
Cool. I yeah, I looked at the starter box and I was thinking about it, but I was like, I just have so many other games I need to play.
Oh my, I
And
understand.
so, but instead I picked up something that is very intriguing. I've read half the book because it's basically like a little art book. I'll show you in a moment. And I think they have so many different versions of this game that you can basically write your own supplement for it, submit it to them, and if they like it, they'll approve it. So
Oh, cool.
I was thinking like they have a sci-fi version, but I was like, what if I wrote a 40K version of this? And I think we could like do it as a show maybe. So the game, for those who know,
Okay, what do we got
this
here? Oh,
is
cool.
this is called, for Americans, it's Morkborg. For those that can pronounce it, it's called Mörkborg. Mörkborg.
Huh.
And so it means dark fort in Swedish. And this thing is
Cool.
fucking wild. Like
Yeah, the
it
artwork on
is
that's very cool.
it's it's basically like a doom metal, black metal style RPG. It's wild to try and read this book. But
Yeah.
they say it's what are they? A doom metal album of a game, a spiked flail to the face, rules light, heavy everything else. And I was like, and I looked through it and you could 1-for-1 40K this. Like you could just change certain stat lines to be like a 40K thing and come up with,
Okay.
you're some like maybe trader guard or something like that roaming the wilds trying to find find your way back and kill your company that you've left or something like that. I don't it's very cool. Like I think we could do maybe some sort of episode where we run it like we'll call it like what Liar's saying. We'll call it Mark Borg.
Yikes.
We'll call it like Mark Borg 40K or something like that.
Yes.
But we could do an episode of it. But it seems rad. Yeah.
Yeah, what a
Very
cool
cool.
looking book for people. Go check out the YouTube and the live streaming. Flick
Mhm.
kind of through it. Like the formatting in that looked so different, just so bright and colorful, and like
Oh man. Yeah, it's like if you were to read like a punk rock zine or like a heavy metal like LP jacket.
or like if a serial killer compiled his own RPG of like newspaper
Totally.
cutouts. Yeah,
Totally. Yeah. It's dark as shit too.
Cool.
I mean, is
Yeah.
it like that, like the old like American like heavy metal magazine?
Yeah, it's that style, but more like gothic doom and less like they have a bunch of supplements where you could do like a sci-fi one. They call it like Cyborg. And
Okay.
yeah. And they have like Pirate Borg. But yeah,
Please say it with the correct accent, please.
Pirate Borgy. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, I'm curious. Maybe we even do like it'd be fun to do just go through all the different like 40K style RPGs that there've been, because there's been a decent amount that, even if we just play one game or just get the idea of what it's all about, like
Yeah.
why would you play one over the other? I mean, Wrath and Glory is around and is supported, versus
Yeah.
trying to find Dark Heresy or something.
Yeah, like you hear me speak highly of the Fantasy Flight Games stuff, but like
Mm-hmm.
the games are nightmares, man. Like there's so many rules. It's so complicated, such a clusterfuck. But they're beautifully formatted, and all the lore in it, that stuff's bang on, and all the artwork. But the actual game, man, it gets so like
Just
it's
too
rough.
complicated or what?
Yeah, like it since
Sounds
it's
very
based on
numbers
like
crunchy.
yeah, since it's based on that D100 type
Mm-hmm.
situation, you're just dealing with so many numbers and so many variants and so many different options, and I don't know. And they would have stuff like how fast you could run, but then you'd have to figure that out in power armor, and then just
Oh,
weird rules like that, or like figuring out how much you can lift all of a sudden becomes a huge thing when you're, I don't know, just a bunch of rules where it's like you have to figure out these weird examples that people are going to get into. So
yeah.
then you go down these weird rules rabbit holes, for very ultra specific scenarios.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's crunchy, would you say?
So crunchy.
Yeah.
And some people like it, but I chip my tooth.
So some people
Like,
like those really
mm-mm.
rules heavy games
Yeah.
with all that numbers
Yeah.
crunching and like really knowing all those specific instances.
Yeah,
This is
it,
the
like,
fucking opposite of that. I'm telling you right now. This is the
yeah,
exact
that's what we
opposite of that.
need.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we're serious people, so we shouldn't be doing serious games with complicated formulas, Did you guys
No.
ever play Fatal, the RPG?
Mm-mm.
I did not. I've heard of it, but I've not played it.
You want to, though.
What? I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, just do a quick
I mean, I'll give any game a try.
This is the like one of the world's worst games, right?
Yeah.
Where it
This
takes like
is-
20 hours to make a
Oh
character
my
and you can
God.
during character creation.
Yeah, because it's so complicated because you got to figure out your areola size. These are important details to character design in Fatal.
Are you rolling for that on a table? Like, is
I've
it
yet
like
to play.
like?
I've yet to find
oh,
someone brave. Oh,
Okay, I got like a 4. Oh, it's like that's a medium. That's
it's
medium.
medium size.
But I feel like, I got like a 9. Oh, these are saucer plates, baby. Yeah.
Oh, well,
Oh,
we'll have
I've
to find out.
seen this made fun of, but I've never seen it
Yes.
played.
Yeah, thank God. Thank the lucky stars. Yo, Fuzz, you like LARP. What kind of LARPing would you do? Like, I kind of feel like I hear people talk about it in two ways, where it's either, we talk about that crunchy rules heavy one where they're throwing magic spells and it doesn't have to hit you. It's more like you can actually do damage with weapons, or is it kind of more like a skill based LARPing, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so the main one that I do, because I've done a few different kinds, but like the one that I've done the most consistently is more of a skill based one where when you're fighting somebody and you get hit, you would like lose the use of that area you get hit.
Yeah,
Now I
cool.
have done the way I yeah kind of do it into like the RP heavy ones, and then like the no the ones where there really is no role play at all. Um,
Hmm.
and mine's kind of in the middle. So you have like the really roleplay heavy ones, like you're talking about, where like your attacks deal damage, you've got hit point pools, there's all these different skills you can use. And yeah, they're very crunchy like that. And those can be a ton of fun. And then there are some where it's just the combat, and those are also a ton of fun. Just in
You
very
put a bunch of people together, all wanting to have fun. I think you're gonna have fun.
exactly. And like mine's kind of in the middle. So like we do have, it is like a skill based fighting, but then we have magic classes like healers and barbarians and like your typical D&D style classes.
Yeah.
But sometimes with the spells, you do have to throw like a physical like 2.5-inch ball and peg somebody with it to be able to
Heck
work.
yeah.
There is also a little bit of skill into that as well.
Mark's
Yeah, no,
really into the
throw
pegging, so that's no problem for him.
give it, send it my way. I can take it. Yeah. No, that sounds so much fun. I never had the opportunity when I was in Calgary, the one LARP place. It was super rules clunky. And there was just something that didn't sit right with me when it was like, yo, but I'm a better sword fighter than you. Like, but you're telling me that you're better than me just because you say you are? Like, they just, I want to play pretend, but I'm just not buying it. You're 4'1".
Yeah, and there's like, sometimes we'll cross over in different games and it can be frustrating where it's like I know I am a better skill-based fighter than this person, but because they've been playing in this game longer, they've got more
Yeah.
hit points than me, they deal more damage, they've got
And
more
you're like, I could
abilities.
literally pick you up and eat you, though, is what you're thinking to
Right.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, what do you do? Fun still.
Exactly. Like, I said, like kind of like a buddy of mine put it this way, you play these games and you chew and digest what you enjoy and you spit out the fat and gristle of what you don't like.
Sure. Sure.
Just enjoy the parts of the game you enjoy and just try to avoid the ones that you don't. And I feel
Well,
like,
yeah, I guess that's like life in general, I suppose.
I
Eh?
mean, yeah, like in any hobby, for 40K, because there's people that just read the books and like the lore. There's people that just like to paint. There's people that like to play the tabletop game and have other people paint their armies for them. So, even in that, there's people that are going to avoid the things that just aren't for them, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You bring up a great point. Oh no, go with Purge Seraph, and then I'll comment. Yeah, he's got something.
He says, Purge says, I'm picking up the Saturnine box set when it comes out. Ideally, he'll actually play a game with it, but got me feeling dirty not using Primaris Marines. Yeah, I was gonna direct into the Saturnine conversation, but Court, did you have something else on the LARPing before we go another direction?
Well, Fuzz just brought up a good point about homebrew, like home rules and stuff.
Sure.
Like, do you
Yeah.
guys have any that you used for 40K? Because I mean, there's just a ton of house rules that I use in other games, but like, do you guys have any 40K like house rules that you kind of just go, you know what, we don't do that here. This is how we play it.
I am unforgiving with rerolls, and the biggest one of this is people who roll off the table and then they miss the fucking table. If you can't hit the table, buddy, your Space Marines aren't hitting my Tyranids. Like, that's just the way it goes. You suck. You can't hit a 6x4 board. Come on. And yeah, that dice don't count. Some people might say that's a horrible way to live a life, but that's where I'm at with mine.
I can understand that. I would probably just make it, whatever it lies on the ground. Like I wouldn't let somebody pick it up and re-roll it.
Unforgiving.
I think that's fucking hilarious. I don't think I would be, I don't know if I would say I would make any like house rules per se, but like from the very little bit that I've played, I would be forgiving about like, just little things here and there, like try to follow the rules, pretty much to the letter. But maybe it's like, oh shit, I forgot to, set this one thing, or especially like I would not play what you see is what you get. Like,
yeah,
because you might want to model your character just in the way you think is coolest, but maybe not what is like for the game's meta, and I don't think you should be punished for having the coolest model possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and friendly pickup
WYSIWYG's
games.
hard.
WYSIWYG is hard for sure. Yeah. Yeah, especially since GW intentionally like changes your like forces you to change your army every edition, you know, like even within your same army, they're like, oh yeah, what was good is no longer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what do you do against such reckless hate? GW. Yeah, well,
Yeah, I
Fuzz,
think it's the vibe of
do
the
you have any
table.
homebrew rules you kind of always bring?
Not specifically. Like I love playing like fun little narrative stuff. Like you guys always know I'm talking like
Sure.
narrative play and campaigns. So like I think one day maybe what I'll do is on our Patreon I'll release the 240k campaigns that I've done for Funkatronic Rex and just give you guys all the materials to all the patrons on Patreon and say like go run your own game. Like here's
Be
maps,
free, my children.
here's maps, here's tokens, here's cards, here's the new rule set. Like maybe we'll do that one day.
What is like the biggest campaign you've run then? Like how many games maybe would it have been over?
So we used to do a 6-week narrative campaign that was every other Saturday. So it spanned like 12 weeks, but you were playing every other Saturday, and it was a slow grow narrative campaign. So you'd start at, I think you'd start at 750. So you go 750, 1,000, 1,250, 1,500, 1,750,
Cool.
and then 2K. Yeah. So six weeks. And I was like, that math works.
Yeah.
But
Not at all caring about orc players or Tyranids players and
dude,
what
it was
go to.
it was rough. It was rough for a few armies. But one of the cool things that I did for the last one that we had was so you're obviously like randomly paired up and you're playing against, you know, you'd probably do 2 games for the first half of the campaign, and then you'd only be able to play like 1 game for the rest of the campaign because it would just be far too long to do like 6 hours, you know.
Yeah.
But what we did was I gave rule sets out for each individual each army type. So like the Tyranid players had their once per campaign rule that only they could do, and you would enact it. You would say, all right, I'm doing, and you'd bring out your card and be like, boom, I'm doing this is my once per campaign thing I get to do. And you wouldn't know what it was until someone did it. So it wasn't like, all right, guys, Imperium players, just so everybody knows, they're once per game, they can do this. Nope, no one knows until someone gets to play it.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Yeah. So there were some really cool moments. Like I think Tau got to booby trap certain terrain. It was something like if they got within a certain amount of inches on a piece of terrain, you'd mark it, like you'd bring the TO over and say, hey, heads up, these 3 pieces, just so you know, are booby trapped. So that when I trigger this, that, you know, that player says, hey, are these 3? And I go, yep, those are the 3 that they've confirmed. They would get like marker light or something like that on them, and it basically like drones would pop out and shoot them, and they would just get like a free like Overwatch almost. But
yeah, cool.
Yeah, there was a bunch of fun, cool rules that we did that I just loved coming up with for narrative reasons. So you know what, I think what we'll do is I'll start looking into those, and then maybe for like summertime or something like that, I'll throw them all together. But you got to be on the Patreon, got to be part of the Imperial Tithe to get them.
Got to support shows.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Like 6 games, that's pretty good to finish. You know, I'm sure we've all had those optimistic campaigns where like, okay, we've drawn out the world, we're gonna battle over these territories, and you get 2 weekends in and then everyone fucking bails, you know.
We had to push people away. It sucked, but like we were at capacity. Like
that's good. That's sweet.
I had a line. It was amazing. It was one of the coolest like days of my 40K quote unquote career in lower quotes.
Yeah, no, that is so sweet,
like,
man. Like,
yeah, the hype was real, and we had a line of people that so unfortunately I just had to say like, all right, guys, sorry, we hit 32, like we're at capacity.
Yeah, that's huge. 32 people, like over
So,
6 games, man.
tournaments.
That is a lot.
Well, it was actually like 10 games because the first 2 or 3 event days you'd be playing 2 games each.
Mm.
Okay.
And it got so big, one of the campaigns, that we actually split into 2 days. So there was a Saturday group that had like 32 players, and then there was a Sunday group that had about like 12 because we had too many to fit in one day. It was so
wild.
cool. And then what we did at
Yeah.
the end was we had the Saturday winner play the Sunday winner, and that determined what was canon in our lore.
Oh, that's
Cool.
very cool.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
Fucking tight.
hmm
Yeah, like I feel
Yeah.
like I've never been to a tournament of that. Well, not like a tournament, but like a
Mhm.
game day of that size before. That's
It
crazy.
gets a little smelly,
I can imagine. I've been to
to
a few
no
cons, like,
fault of anybody, but it just, you know. But it's cool. We
I'm
had
pretty
a wide variety of folks. We had like, we had older players who were like just getting back in, starting with 10th edition. We had people that never played before, but like maybe 1 or 2 games prior. I had some now really good friends that like played their first full 10th edition game day 1 of the campaign. Like they'd only
Nice.
done like a little bit of combat patrol, and that was kind of it. Yeah, and it wasn't Neckbeard City, I'll tell you that. Like we had we had all different types of folks. It was really cool. We had men and women. We had like older, old crunchy tournament GW guys now just wanting to play like fun narrative. It was neat. Yeah.
Nice.
sounds very cool.
Yeah,
Well,
fuck.
I love when you have games like that impact the narrative. Like I know yours was, for kind of your local lore, but I know
Mhm.
like there have been some games where they'll do tournaments that impact like the lore of the game, like
Yes.
the actual game. Like I don't know
Yeah.
if do 40K and like Warhammer Fantasy, did they ever do that? Do you know?
Yes.
Yeah, they did, but I think they kind of learned a couple bad lessons of
Yes.
you don't always get good lore when you do stuff like that. You get wonky scenarios like in fantasy, you got an orc war boss who randomly comes out of nowhere. In the Chaos Lord's like crowning moment and then battles him and wipes him out and then runs away. So you get weird moments like that like it happened in the tabletops and now you write it in the lore. So I think they kind of stopped is my thought.
Well, so every year they have I had to look it up because I forget what it's called, but it's the Warhammer Grand
Okay.
Narrative. The Grand Narrative. It's every year, and they allow players to like change a little bit. We'll say like influence the lore and just kind of nudge it in a way, because you're right. Early on they were like, all right, whatever happens here, this happens canonically, and it changed a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, every year they do the Grand Narrative, and a buddy of mine, Kasner, big shout out, goes every year and just has a lot of fun with it. Yeah, there it is. The Grand Narrative. And they do it for AOS. They do it for 40K. I don't know how they
Cool.
would
They
do it
got,
for
like,
Heresy, but
going through it, you got kill team missions, you got other missions and stuff. Like, there's just so much you could get up to in this.
dude, he
Yeah.
brought back like a goodie bag for me, and he had a stack of exclusive scenarios, like new ways to set up your table, your terrain, objectives, scenario stuff. He gave them all to me. It was amazing. So maybe I'll try and get those scanned up and put them on our Patreon too.
Have you guys ever heard of the I'm trying to remember exactly what it's called, but it's like somewhere in Europe, and it's the Warhammer philosophical debate conversation day or something like that, where they try to take it like an educational day. Maybe let me try to find it before I did a bad job describing it.
Mark, whatever this is, we need to start some sort of GoFundMe for you to be there.
That's what I thought, man.
I just want to see you just like, you know what?
Oh.
Let me tell you about my Primaris. Let me tell you about that. And just see you go off. That would be hilarious.
Eric always said one of the things that he wanted to happen with Lorehammer was to like actually get invited somewhere. Like, hey, Lorehammer, you need to be at this event.
Wow. Yeah.
I did get invited to somewhere, but it was in the city next to my like next door, so it was not like going to like LVO or like Nova Open or like one of those ones. But that'd be fucking tight.
Yeah,
that would be really cool. Yeah,
I'd pay my own way. I just want a little booth that I can just, like you said, Court, just yell at people from. Like, give me that little soapbox, set me up in a dark corner, I'm good to go.
That'd be
It's
cool.
like the meme of like Abe Simpson, old man yells at clouds. Just mark it like convention yelling at nerds.
Yes. And to just come back to, while you're looking that up, Mark, I remember the first time I ever played in a lore influential campaign. It was like 2003-ish, and it was the Eye of Terror. So if some of you guys might recall, back then in like 3rd edition, 4th edition ish, GW did a worldwide campaign called the Eye of Terror, and it was all about like the invasion of Cadia and the fall of Cadia, and it was Abaddon doing his thing, and they set up certain days where you'd sign up, you'd play in certain scenarios, and they basically tracked all the stores, all the GW stores in the world, like who won for that day. The majority, was it Imperium? Was it Chaos? Was it this? What scenarios were they using? And they were going to put a hard answer on like what happens to Cadia and like how does this affect things moving forward.
Yeah.
But I think the results were so overwhelming in one way that it didn't really make for good storytelling. So I think they kind of ended up retconning it.
Yeah.
But I remember it was cool. It was like you thought that you were part of something bigger than yourself by, playing in this worldwide campaign.
It's a fun thing to like, oh yeah, let's all get together and let's do this really cool thing. And then the Sundering of the Liber Malleus happens, and then half your chapter falls to chaos. You're like, I didn't want that. That was not my plan, but I guess here we are, co-op. So
yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Like things like that, I think, are great ways to get people invested in the community, invested in the game, invested in the lore. Because you can look at it, say you're playing in the Eye of Terror thing, and you can look at the lore that comes out of that and be like, I win or lose, like I was a part of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was there.
I was there
years ago, rolling dice. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty sweet. I remember, slightly off topic, but working at Funk, I was part of a world record attempt for the largest TTRPG game ever played. And it was basically you couldn't say D&D and you couldn't say Dungeons and Dragons for legal reasons,
Sure.
but it was the largest tabletop role-playing game attempt. I don't know if they've cleared it, but it was like all across the country, because it was part of Bricks and Minifigs, the nationwide store, like Lego store. And it was really cool. They were planning this very Army of Darkness style. Necromancer tries to get his army of skeletons to invade this Lego castle and whatnot. And you had pre-generated characters, and everybody was linked up via Zoom. And I remember I took point for our store that I was going to run the Zoom stuff, and we had other volunteers going to run each table. So we were going to have, I think it was like 60 cities or something like that participate in this thing. And they had multiple tables each, and everybody was recording their scores in Excel. But I remember the sheer horror when everybody tried to log on all at once on Zoom and quickly look at how to fucking run an Excel spreadsheet. I have screenshots that at some point I'll try and find, but there's like people like think of the worst COVID Zoom call meeting for work ever, where like people are on mute, some guy like doesn't have his camera on or like half on, or he doesn't know that he's in his pajamas. Someone's like getting yelled at by their boss in the corner. Like it's
somebody's
all
munching
happening.
That food.
Yeah, someone just doesn't know. Someone's just sitting there like picking their nose, like looking into the camera, like, is this working?
Wild.
It was a nightmare as far as like people trying to do the right thing, but it was really fun. It was very cool. And they had like cutscenes for it that you would show on the computer on like linked up to your TV. But dear God, it was a nightmare to see these people try and like figure out Zoom, figure out Google Sheets.
I love
And like, this link isn't working. Why isn't it working? You're on mute. We can't hear you.
that.
And
And you got to sign into your account.
and B, that's not your web browser. That's your Finder window. So stop typing in the internet address in your Finder window.
Oh man.
It was so
no.
anyways.
So like, how many
Yeah.
people do you think showed up to that event? Or hard to say because it was not like all local.
It was tough because they were supposed to report their numbers into the Google Sheet, and like I kept reminding people on the Zoom call, like, guys, report your numbers, and they're like, how do I do it again? And it's, I don't think they got it. I don't think they got the numbers they needed, but I know that they had at least like, I want to say it was like 300 participants or something like that.
Liar says, I can't see you. And then, unquote, because you have Excel open, not Zoom. Yeah, man. Yeah, one of the weirdest things I always think about is just like, I've seen my like grandpa like try to use a cell phone, like my cell phone. Yet all these politicians of that age, and I just always wonder, like, do these people even know how to open phones? Like, yeah, we're talking about joking around with how do you even open these Zoom links, spreadsheets? Like, how the fuck they even do any of that? These old people in office. That's all I can think about.
It's a hard learning curve.
It is. Like my grandparents are actually very like technology forward, early adopters of like new stuff. So like my grandma, when she was like 90, could get on her iPad and do like a video call, no problem. Do her emails and everything. But
maybe I just have an old German pig farmer of a grandpa who's just like not happening. Maybe.
But I've also had like other grandparents that were not very tech savvy at all. So like it just depends.
Are you guys going to be put into the machine, the AI machine, and get plugged in when we get the opportunity in our lifetime?
No,
I'll let other people test it out first, and we'll see how it goes.
I don't think so. I'll go out in a blaze of glory.
Ah, yes. Well, Paradise Fruit is open to, I'm starting a refugee area down here for the end of the world when that happens. So.
There we go. Good.
Yeah.
I'm sure between all the Lorehammer people, we'll have a lot of good skill sets.
Yeah. Sure, we don't have batteries right now, so that's kind of
right. If you're just joining us, by the way, we're maybe on just the roll of a dice to see how long this lasts.
Yeah.
Mark, and therefore this whole podcast episode could cut out at any second.
Yeah.
My heart's beating. What could happen?
I know. There's been a couple times my internet kind of slowed down and I lost you guys, and I was like, "This is it. This is it.
This is."
As if it's like the apocalypse. Yeah.
There's one time Mark's lights dimmed, and I was wondering if that was going to be
the
We got the Lupical saying, I vote we make Christian try it first, our little AI upload canary.
Second that. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
It's so funny. Yeah. I did end up finding what I was looking for earlier. It's called the Warhammer Convention, and it is held in the University of Heidelberg in Germany on the 26th and 27th of September. This is the second year that they're doing it. Last year, they had people like John Blanche there, like important people from 40K, like authors and stuff. So it sounds like a pretty interesting thing that it's not just like, I'm literally just some dickhead on the internet. I don't have anything useful to say, but those people actually sound probably pretty smart since they wrote it and drew it and all that kind of stuff,
That's pretty sweet. They do that every year?
Yeah. Well, this is the second year that they're doing it, but I would imagine that they're going to be doing it every year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this like a Warhammer convention that's more along the lines of like discussion panels and things like that, as opposed to actually playing the game?
Yeah, their tagline is the world's first academic conference dedicated to all things Warhammer, and it's called Warhammer Conference. So
I could see that being really interesting. Like if there's people there talking about any like hard science things that like Warhammer gets right, as far as like space, just like the ideas behind xenobiology, things like that could be really neat to go and listen to.
Like I've had the privilege now of talking to 3 or 4 of those kind of old vets of GW authors, and produce managers or whatever they were. And it's so interesting talking to them. Like, they don't give themselves enough credit. Like, no one's willing to take credit for anything that they've done. First of all, it's always a collaborative effort, they say, which is all well and good, but I want to know who came up with some things, you know?
Right.
But yeah, no, it was so cool. Like, hearing like, they wanted it to go one direction, but it went another direction and they weren't quite happy with that, or, you know, was just interesting little tidbits that you pick up on.
Well, it is hybrid, Mark, so you could just Zoom call in this thing.
Yeah, everyone needs to email them. I would love to. You know, these sound like more qualified people. They use bigger words. Like, my biggest word is fucking, not just fuck. So it's like sophisticated.
I'll say that, like, you know, with it, you could, I mean, in theory, you could be like, hey, if you wanted to do a thing on podcasting about Warhammer, you know, you would be a good person to talk to about that, you know, talking about your creative process and how you schedule things, and, you know, things you've learned.
It's all a fever dream, man. It's all just, you know, you just snort a little warp dust and get after it.
Kind of like your batteries. You're just like, this podcast could end any day now.
That's right.
Yeah, make hay while you can. Yeah, no, I've loved learning Lorehammer. It's been so fucking fun. Like, even just you two are just some random people I met online and now are my homies. So it's been very cool that way.
I mean, I've only joined I've been listening for a bit, like, because I would listen just as I'm doing chores around the house, taking care of the kids and stuff like that. It was great to listen in the car. But I think, like, I've only been on the Discord since like last September, November, something around there.
Okay.
How did you find it?
Yeah.
I just remember, like, when Lorehammer came back, I remembered I was like, oh yeah, there is a Discord. And at the time when there was like I guess, you know, the Lorehammer version 1.0, or, you know, the Mark and Eric era, whatever you want to call it, I wasn't really into Discord then. Just, it wasn't a platform that I used.
I just mean, sorry, I should have phrased it. How did you find Lorehammer? Like, what was your intro to Lorehammer?
So my intro to Lorehammer was, I used to work for a company, and my buddy also worked for the same company. We'd be driving around all day doing our job, and he's a Blood Angels player, and so he knew way more about just like 40k lore in general. And so we would just lore swap different things that we knew about all day. So I would just spend an 8-hour workday listening to him talk about 40k lore and asking him questions. And eventually we both stopped working there, and so I didn't see him as much. And I was like, well, I need to know more. I need to keep shotgunning this into my brain and learning more about this. And so I just went on to Spotify and was like, you know, 40k lore or whatever, and Lorehammer was, you know, I don't know if it was the top one, but it was one of like probably top 3 that showed up. And so I started listening to it, and I was like, yeah, I like this, because I really like conversational podcasts. I like the ones that are more free form, like kind of like the, you know, like what we're doing right now, just a couple friends talking to each other. You know, there is a script that we do go off of, but there's a lot of just natural conversation that happens, and those are my favorite kind of podcasts to listen to.
Did you start from the beginning?
Yes, absolutely.
You did. Okay.
I had to start from The Warp is the Ocean.
Yeah.
if you didn't start from The Warp is the Ocean, you did it wrong, and I will die on that hill.
I did it wrong. I started at Necrons. I started at like all the Necron stuff, and then realized like I had this weird image in my head that was pretty accurate, actually. After like once you guys like did the YouTube videos, I was like, oh, they're a little cooler than I thought they'd be. Like, you know, like it was definitely the, you know, like 4 dudes in a garage.
Oh yes.
I remember some of those videos.
Yeah. But I went back and I was like, you know, you guys really were so on it in terms of delivering the lore in a cohesive way that felt funny, accessible, and it wasn't too like actually, you know, it wasn't you guys weren't talking down to people of like, this is how it is, and I'm not going to try and make it easy for you to understand. I'm just going to say all these words that hopefully you understand, figure it out. Like it was very simple and straightforward. And I really just like, I listened to episodes over and over again. It was so good. So, but yeah, I think you're right, Fuzz. Starting in the beginning is such a good way to do it, and such a good way to get people into the lore of it too.
Yeah, especially for someone like me that hadn't, ever played the game at the time. I don't think I had any 40K models. So like that was my, that was my just Warhammer 40K of, that's all I had.
That's all I had, man.
You were everything to me. But no, there was a lot of really cool aspects to the way you all did and still do the podcast. Like the rotating hosts was something that I had never really heard on a podcast that I thought was really cool, because you just have your stable host, and then you have just these rotating personalities that all bring different things to the table when talking about it. They all have different knowledge bases. They all have different backgrounds.
One of my favorite guests of all time was Canadian Steve, man. I get asked about him all the time. He sounded like that, like Manitoban Canadian, like what about yeah, bud. Like, yes. But he was a friend of a friend, and he came into my life and vanished, and like he was only around for like a week or two. I only knew him, so tragic, really.
I can't remember his name, but if I remember right, there was a guy from Australia who was like up there visiting, and you had him on too.
Oh, dude. And his intros were the fucking best. Oh, g'day, everybody! He would just like hype you up, man.
Yeah, fucking Dylan.
I think he also did Orc voices, I think. Dylan, yes. It was so good.
Yeah, there's a lot of good homies up there. Yeah, Dylan was a weird thing. That was a situation of when he came, he like messaged me. He's like, "Hey, I'm thinking about moving to Canada." And like, this is the first time we talked to each other type situation. I'm like, "Hey, well, yeah, you want to move into my parents' basement?" He's like, "Yeah." And then he did, like a month later.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, so he lived in my parents' basement for like a month while he was trying to find his own spot type situation. Cool. But yeah, it was pretty funny. Like the first, like my parents weren't there at the time; they're on vacation or whatever. So you get this random Australian living in my parents' house, and they have a hot tub. So I went over there for the first kind of night hanging out with them, and we had a hot tub together. Me and this fucking Australian guy. He's rapping to me. He's like, "I wrote this rap song to my girlfriend who I missed because I just left her." And he's like heartbroken. Like it was. Oh my God. It was honestly one of the most surreal, weirdest, like. Also like endearing experiences ever towards Dylan. Like it was just so genuine, so like, okay, so you've made a huge life decision, like and now you're here, and like, okay, now we're in a hot tub together. Like it was just so
life's fucking crazy sometimes, man.
There's a couple people that inspired me to move, and he was one of them. I'm like, if that motherfucker can do it, I can do it. And then the other one was my pig farming grandpa during World War II. It's like, man, they didn't even have cell phones. If he can move countries, so can I.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my grandma. Was also, she moved from Germany over to the U.S. for very important reasons.
Did she work for NASA? I mean,
no, she was running away from them.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, like I gotta hear some wild stories, like her, because she was like 8 years old, and she would tell me that like her friends would just be like, "I can't walk to school with you anymore. Sorry." Just, my great grandpa, it was a doctor, and he'd like, "I can't go to a Jewish doctor anymore. Sorry." They just have patients leave.
Wow.
So they're like, we're gonna go over to America now.
Yeah. Fuck this. We're out of here. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. What's crazy is, it seems like that's so far ago, so long ago, but people are still that ridiculous and treat people like that. It's the fucking craziest thing. Mm-hmm. The world's crazy, boys. I'm glad 40K is like the grimdark we enjoy and not real life stuff. Because every time I talk about the real world, it's like, oh, they're trafficking children now, are they?
There's enough grimdark in the real world that we should. It can. Yeah, but at least with 40K, you've got just the sheer ridiculousness of scale of a lot of things. Like you can make fun of it. and you can escape to it.
Yeah, it makes fun of itself too. I think that's one of the best parts about 40K is it knows it's being retarded. Like it's so over the top, and it knows it and it likes it, and it wants to take it there. It doesn't take itself seriously.
I think we've lost some of that though. Like I do think that we've lost a little bit of the edge of the grimdark, but we've also lost like the tongue-in-cheek kind of vibe every now and then. Like I can think back in obviously I always just talk about like the 3rd edition rule book, but there's an image in the 3rd edition rule book that has like a space marine, and he's like there's one covering his eyes, one covering his ears, one covering his mouth, and it's like don't allow the Xenos to speak, don't allow the Xenos to hear, don't listen not to the Xenos, speak not to the Xenos, see not the Xenos. Like that's hilarious. And like I feel like we've lost a little bit of that, and I feel like the only times that we kind of see that are in maybe like a commemorative model or something, like Sly Marbo we saw get released. Like we'll see the red Gobbo get released every Christmas, and maybe I'm missing it a little bit, but I just think there's still some parts where we have to rely on the orcs for them to be funny, and that's kind of it, and that's a little unfortunate. Like I wish we could get some more just little tongue-in-cheek humor from other factions.
Yeah, I think the DNA of it is still there. Like the core of the ridiculousness is still there, but they don't utilize, like you're saying, in the same way. Like all the base components for that, tongue in cheek, over the top silliness are still in the game. They're just not writing them that way anymore. And I know, like we as fans, it's something that we could try to be more, I guess, silliness forward with.
I was kind of thinking that, yeah.
Like, we're talking about like the tabletop RPGs and everything, and we are kind of silly in my game. Like we don't take everything super seriously. We crack jokes about whatever. I might run a Wrath and Glory game for Lorehammer folks too, and maybe like a 6-10 session game or something like that. See how it goes. And I'd want to make it more like over the top, just tongue in cheek, silly. With some serious elements too, because you do want to have some narrative drama, but not take itself so seriously.
Yeah. I wonder just how much as a company GW has been, reared in by us, where we're like, they write something and then 50 people online dissect every word, find every flaw with it. So then they have to kind of like make things a little more structured, make things a little more like, in their boxes and proper, because if they don't, like, people jump. Like I know even for Lorehammer, like people jump at me when I get shit wrong. I'm like, I don't work for them. Like
and there's so much too, like, and I don't know if I really feel like Games Workshop doesn't have this kind of a person, and they probably need one. But there's a World of Warcraft lore podcast I listen to, and one of their original hosts had to leave because she went to go work for Blizzard.
Wow.
As I can't remember what the position is, but basically it's like they're lore historians that work for the company, so that the writers, they help keep the writers consistent, make sure the lore stays consistent, and they don't like go against themselves when they're writing the games. And I'm sure even the authors that do the books have to go through this process.
Like a script supervisor, they would be on set.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
They must have something like that, but like also, how can they track everything? Like, okay, so you have one guy like that script guy monitoring all the novels, but then somebody else is doing like codexes. Like there's so many aspects. Is somebody managing the Funko Pop line of lore and like you know what I mean? Like there's so many little areas that it's branched into now. You had to find one guy to kind of, or a couple of guys who are like the arbiters of truth. It seems hard to, I don't know, rein it all in now.
Yeah, because doing like a 40K, or I'm sure any of the properties like license thing, there's just so many of them between like the mobile games, the video games now, and then all the books. And, they're getting ready to do the show. And there's so much. And it's impossible to keep it all consistent unless you did have somebody trying to do that. And even then, it would be a nightmare. I feel
Oh
like
man,
unless
yeah.
they rein
You'd
in.
get that bottleneck, man. Like there's just so much content that if you're putting it through one person to kind of fact check it, like we just wouldn't get
even
any.
5 people,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough.
If you had like a hypothetical list of like, it could include GW employees, it could include lore YouTubers, whatever, of people that you'd want in that canon position. Is there any authors that you kind of like, every book they write is fucking gold?
So I've just finished my first 40K novel or 40K book. I'll say it. So like I haven't, picked out an author that I think is particularly good or bad.
Okay.
I feel like
Wait, what was it?
it was Damocles. So it was a group of, it was like 3 short stories around the Damocles Gulf.
Cool.
It was 4. It was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. And then I just started Faith and Fire, Adeptus Sororitas book.
Cool.
Yeah.
But if I had to like pick somebody to do it, oh goodness, I honestly like picking a lore YouTuber or like pulling from that pool. Like if they were making it a nude position, I think hiring people who were like lore podcasters, lore YouTubers, something like that would probably be the best way to go, because if you're pulling from the authors, there's no guarantee of how familiar they are with like the codexes or other people's work. And kind of same thing with people who like write the codexes. I know there is like crossover there as well. But with the people who are doing these, like, like what Mark's doing, and, all the different like lore focused people out there, they've probably spent the most time pulling from all the different directions and like reading the lexicanum articles and reading stuff, on maybe blog posts on the internet, reading the novels, stuff like that. So I would say those lore focused folks would be the ones I'd pull from first.
So anyone specifically? Like I'm not the biggest. I know they like, I won't take it personally if you name Arch Warhammer as the guy,
I don't know. I honestly haven't branched out into other 40K lore podcasts.
All right.
There was a YouTuber.
Fine. Well, now I just won't know who I have to kill. I was trying to compile my hit list, and you're not helping me here.
Yeah, I know. I've listened to other like shorts on YouTube, and there was a guy that a good friend of mine had me listen to a couple thing, and he did more like doing the lore, but in like a written narrative way, instead of just like instead of like making notes and reading it that way. So it was good to listen to, but it wasn't as easy to parse out the actual information. So again, like pluses and minuses, but yeah. You can just go look and see who has, the biggest followings and start there. I don't know, just as a basic metric to look at.
Court, do you have like a favorite guy that you kind of?
Yeah, actually. I mean, you guys were really number one for me for just, it was great because it was just straight up lore and humor. And it was, this is what could be, and this is what we think of it. And I thought that was fantastic. I think there's one guy in particular, as far as getting really close with GW goes, because he was an ex-GW employee, but Northern Exile. Exile, he's a great YouTuber. He really took off a few years ago with his Hobby Nightmares series. So he started a YouTube channel basically kind of going over his fun stories at GW, being a GW manager for a store. And there's some wild shit. And he talks about just the hypocrisy and the ridiculousness and how, and also how good it was in some ways. But then it kind of turned into, well, why don't you guys write your own stories in, and we'll like read them and I'll talk about it. So he started doing that. And he's, some of you guys are chatting about it now in the chat, but Northern Exile is a phenomenal dude. And I've had the pleasure of writing a few stories in to him reading them on his channel. And then even like, I think I won a couple of his like contests, and he sent me some minis. Excuse me. But I think he's very good for like, pardon me. for what GW was and what it could be, because he's kind of seen how the sausage gets made a little bit. I really like Lewitton, or Luton, however you want
Yeah,
to pronounce
people
it.
are
But
saying that in the chat. Yeah.
yeah, very good. Also, every now and then I really like watching. His name's Arbiter Ian, or Arbiter
Okay.
Ian. He does a lot
Yeah, I've
of
heard.
the lore as far as like timelines goes. He's very good on like, this is what happened here, this is when it affected this is what it did, this, even book series, or like he did one that was great, like editions,
Sure.
like literally just codex editions, and this is how the rules went.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few others that I think are there's a few others that I won't mention that I think kind of hurt the hobby in some ways, where there's a lot
Oh,
of,
come on. Maybe say it in the private chat. Because I'm curious now.
yeah,
I won't say it.
I'll say, I honestly, I don't know off the hand like the names, but I know not to
Okay.
click on their videos, because there's just a lot of doomsaying. There's just a lot of like, oh, this
Yeah.
is it, they fucked up, the company's gonna go bankrupt and whatever, and it's like,
Meanwhile, they're like
all
more
right,
successful than ever.
I know, and in some ways they're right. Like they made, GW maybe did a shit move on some release, but it's like, is every single video of yours just going to be like, oh, they fucked up this release? Oh man,
It's just all clickbait.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is. Yeah,
I found for myself, you could fall into two things very easily if you're podcasting for a long time. You can fall into like a fake version of yourself very easily, where like who you are is, like I got Trevor Buzak, like that's like my crazy alter ego, but like I could become Trevor Buzak at any moment if I let it, The other thing is, where you start just chasing those clicks, and then you're like, okay, well, I know Space Marines get clicks, so that's all we talk about, or just whatever, where it's just bullshit. Kind of just lose yourself to it.
Yeah. Every now and then you just see like, there's always the classic like dumb shot of a YouTuber like giving the what face, like, oh, I didn't know this, like, and they're holding up some sort of like release, like, what? What is it? Huh? And then it's like the end of Warhammer? What? Like, no, it's not. It's not.
Yeah. I had somebody comment on my thumbnails on my YouTube. They're like, oh, your titles could be more catchy, and your fucking things could be blah, 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 and it'll bump you in the algorithm and all that. I'm just like, I don't fucking care.
They're not wrong. They're not wrong.
They're not wrong, but like, fuck, man.
It all depends on your priorities.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you're saying, you could
act
like a different person, but then you're not going to cultivate the same kind of community that you have.
Yeah.
No, then you get court talking shit about you, saying you're not authentic online without actually name dropping you.
That's right.
Like, yeah, you don't want that.
Don't be the Nickelback of Warhammer podcasts.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah, podcasting's interesting, man. I wonder what will be next, like podcasting's not the be all end all. Like how long Warhammer's gonna be a thing? Who knows, man? Maybe when the brain chip comes out, I'll be inserted live into your body. New meaning of Warhammer Live, but who knows?
So I guess Mark, what was kind of like some of your ideas for how the podcasting would go, and like, did you ever think you would cultivate the kind of community that you have, like on the Discord and with people calling in and stuff?
No, like I remember when me and Eric set it up, I'm like, dude, like at the end of a year, if we had 100 people like listening, I'd be like blown away. I'd be like, yeah, that'd be worth doing it if I had 10 people who emailed me to talk to me about Warhammer. That'd be tight. No, I had no clue, and people always say that, but at the same time, I fucking hustle, I grind, man. Even back in the day, like writing stuff, it's work, man. Schedules, it's work, whatever. I don't know.
It's funny listening back to your guys' old stuff too, because like there's a lot of fun learning curves that you guys had, like sharing mics and things, which still actually really worked. Like it was fun, but I remember like you guys like panhandling a little bit for like, get us a camera, come on guys, we want to be on YouTube, please. And then after like 3 or 4 episodes, realizing that Christian's last episode is a joke. Like, I didn't know that. Like, listening to it, I was like, oh, wow.
No, I
Okay,
remember that
maybe he's like
too.
moving away. I don't know.
I definitely remember like after like the third time it was like, and this is Christian's last episode. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, I know.
I don't believe it.
Right.
Yeah, there's so many things in there where it's like, I know what me and Eric wrote down for notes, and I know what like the natural like stuff like that, where it's like so out of nowhere and just caught, and fucking classic. Yeah, it's funny you say learning curves, man. Yeah, Lorehammer's definitely gone through a bunch of variations in how we share lore. Like right now, I'm in like a very like lore heavy grind right now. Like when we're talking about Primarchs, you want to go into as much detail. You don't want just the shooting the shit conversation. But eventually, I would love to go back to like more of this style, where you have the sparse and notes. Maybe this will be a fun thing to do. I'll share my screen. So come watch the live stream. And I'm going to go
I love
to
live stream.
I'm going to go to the very first episode of Notes me and Eric wrote.
Wow. Holy shit.
Oh man,
I feel like
I'm almost
peering
at 200
into
episodes right
history.
now.
Wow.
Almost 200. It's fucking crazy.
What's this tonight? 195?
This will become something
I guess
else.
It's a bonus. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the very first episode.
The Warp. While you're looking
And
that
it's
up,
sharing,
though.
and there we go.
Oh, yeah. What do you got? Okay.
3 pages. 3 pages. of
3
notes. That's all we have.
pages.
Yeah,
Wait. Slow down. I want to see. Okay. So
The Warp.
The Warp. Wow.
Yeah, the notes are pretty lacking.
What is it? Wait. What does it say about Christian? I saw something.
Okay, let's
Go up.
Christian is the
The
didact.
Okay.
Yeah. He didn't want his name to be known, so he's like, well, can you guys just call me the didact? And we're like, you're a fucking dickhead, we'll call you that, but okay, and then let's do one more fun jump. So that was like, we probably did like 20 episodes where the notes were basically like that. And, eventually, though, you start getting into stuff where we had to write stuff down. So then our notes jumped to around like 10 pages. I just opened up another one, and it was 6 pages. But yeah, now it's like, I'm trying to list so much, and like the deeper you go, the more you have to write, essentially, because you not only have to write context a little bit, so people aren't just like, how did we get so deep in the first place?
Yeah.
But then, you also got to try to cover all of it.
Did you guys ever record any episodes that were unreleased for any sort of reason? Like, whether it's technical difficulties or like, that just didn't meet the standards that we wanted, or was there anything that you guys like just left on the cutting room floor?
There was probably 2, maybe. There's probably one that we did and we weren't happy with, and there's probably one that we did and the audio was so atrocious that we didn't upload it. Like we didn't hit, like High Hammer would have been a good example where we got too high, we didn't even hit record. But you've listened to Lorehammer. There's definitely episodes in there where the audio quality is like, oh, something happened on that one, but we uploaded it anyways. I would love to do redo episodes, and I'm compiling a list of all those types of episodes, and that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Yeah. What a world. 40K, man. It's so neat. I have ordered Liber Malleus stuff, and I'm so excited, man. We did that hobby hangout chat a couple weeks ago, and it just kind of put me back in it, man.
Yeah, good.
Look, I got all the Warhammer sprues, the pile of shame on the floor there.
Whoa!
Yeah. So, yeah, man, I'm excited to get my hands on some plastic again.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it reminds me, I'm meaning to order some Lorehammer stuff off of Redbubble.
Shameless plug. Go buy.
Yeah.
We
Well,
do need to get back to Purge Seraph just real quick, because that's true. Purge has
yeah.
been waiting a long
Oh,
time.
yeah.
We went off the rails, and now we're coming back to the Saturnine set. So sorry, brother. We got you. Let's chat.
Yeah. What do you guys think about it? Saturnine Terminators.
I think they look real fucking cool. Like, I really enjoy the just like really the like a lot of the Horus Heresy aesthetic stuff in general, because there's so much variation for it, and I do feel like it is its own distinct style. Um, it's almost like really gothic, as opposed to a lot of like
Yeah.
the newer models coming out are a little bit, I guess you could say, cleaner.
Yeah, almost more realistic. Like it's got that almost bit of goofiness that
Yeah,
where it's like
look at
you,
those
you almost
shoulders.
look at it and you're
Oh,
like, those shoulders are just, what are we up to here, boys?
right.
This is the first time that's not true. I actually looked at it at work today a little bit. I didn't know what it was. I was just passing through Warhammer community, but this is like the first that I've actually like looked at these models.
They're fucking cool, man. The commander guy, the Praetor, he's sweet.
Oh, that looks. I hadn't seen that one yet. That looks awesome.
Oh, that's fucking rad.
Apparently these things you sit inside almost more like a Centurion suit, as opposed to what this picture I have pulled up, where you're piling it as opposed to wearing it.
Yeah. Do you guys remember the Fifth Element?
Yes.
It looks a little just a touch like if like the Mondo Shawans were like a badass 40K thing.
Okay.
You remember the Mondo Shawans was like the big thing in the beginning, where it was like they were all golden going at the pyramid.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that, but more badass.
It's almost like a fat General Grievous.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I like this. This does feel a touch of the goofiness. I like this. That's cool.
Yeah, like I said, like the goofiness stuff is still there. I think we just have to work a little harder, because, like you were saying, I think Games Workshop would put stuff out, and then nerds would take it so seriously. So
I've been guilty of that.
And I wonder if it was like a feedback loop of, the community is taking it more and more seriously, so Games Workshop is now taking it more and more seriously.
Yeah.
Which is nothing wrong with that. Like, I do enjoy. I like the really well defined setting, and there are a lot of, and I like the questions that are still left unanswered. But yeah, like they've definitely gotten away from publishing goofy bullshit.
Yeah.
Saturnine Terminators. If we don't get the ones with the heavy bolters mounted above their head like this pick, I will riot.
Let's say we riot. Yep.
You can riot, or you could just take a heavy bolter sprue and glue it on the top. There you go.
I think just more guns.
What you think? I just have heavy bolters in this massive pile of sprues down there?
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, well, I do.
Yeah. Oh man, that's cool.
Well, I think we did a pretty good little episode here, boys. The battery bust episode 1. We beat the battery. We did not bust.
Woo!
Well done. Wow.
This is a solid almost hour and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
So, this is kind of the style of episode people can expect for the next week. I don't know what we're going to get up to, but we're going to go on a journey together. It's going to be exciting. Hopefully, we get to do some unique new things. Maybe we'll do some RPGs. Maybe there'll be a Dad Hammer. Maybe I'll just do a one-off Dad Hammer. So it's not a whole series, but you just get a nice little teaser one.
There you go.
But it's going to be a fun week.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Court, Fuzz, thank you for joining me. Any closing thoughts there?
Just keep enjoying the hobby. Enjoy what parts of it you like. Don't worry about if there's something you don't. If you never want to play the game and you just like painting the miniatures, cool. They're cool as fuck. Just, life is short. Enjoy your time here.
Wow. That's well said. Yeah. Get your friends into a fun game. And for those of you that are new to Warhammer or to Lorehammer in general as well, welcome. We're glad to have you, no matter what. So thank you for being part of the show and listening to us. And thank you guys for chatting with us, all the guys in the chat right now. So love you guys. And
always good to
know. Thanks for letting us be on this, Mark. This is a dream. It's just so cool to be part of this.
Dude,
is,
it's
yeah,
my dream
absolutely.
too. Like, this is what I wanted, believe it or not, for some reason, to just talk to random people on the internet about 40K. So
Yeah,
we're
it's
all
wild.
living.
Yeah.
All right, well, go hug your loved ones and roll some dice. Adios, everyone.
Hell yeah.
Awesome, guys.